Mr. Duncan, thanks for coming in today. As a former deputy mayor, what do you see your role is now with the council, having been at the administrative level of the council? What do you see as your role?
Well, let me correct it there. I was not at the administrative level of the council. Council has two parts for all intents and purposes. It has an administrative arm that is headed by the town clerk, who, as per law, is the chief administrative officer. And then it has a political arm, which is the council. The council is headed by the mayor, who is elected. And so the political arm, headed by the mayor, sets the policies for the council. Sets the policy for the council, gives direction. Those directions, those policy, they are implemented by the town clerk. So they're implemented by the administrative arm. That is the function.
Wait, let me go back a little. You said that the mayor is elected.
The mayor is elected.
By who?
So the councillors,
and they also elect the deputy mayor.
Yes.
So I'm saying, having been elected and as a former elected officer as the deputy mayor, and having served in that capacity, and if I would say effectively so, now that you're not there, what do you see as your role by way of?
And answering that very question, I think the greater onus is not on a former deputy mayor. The greatest onus, the greater onus is on all councillors, because by law, all councillors have the responsibility of ensuring that Georgetown is managed in a professional and competent manner by a qualified town clerk. That is the.
We're going to get to the town.
No, but I'm telling you, that is the role of every councillor.
But what is your
right?
Sherod Duncan?
How
do you
because
see
I am
your
a councillor, and I get my role, I get my marching orders from the law, which says that every councillor, of which I am one of the 30 councillors at City Hall, we have the responsibility. I have the responsibility to ensure that Georgetown is managed in a competent manner. In a competent manner. That is what the law says. It uses two words. In a professional, so that is my role, to ensure that Georgetown is managed in a professional and in a competent manner. That is my role as a councillor.
Okay, good. What I'm trying to ask is, were there any privileges that you would have benefited from in your capacity as deputy mayor that you can now use to provide guidance to the general horseshoe table? That's what I'm asking. For the time that you have spent as the deputy mayor, the access that you would have had, the travels, whatever special things that would have come with that portfolio, do you see yourself using any of those, the knowledge that you have gained from that, in providing guidance? That's where I'm going.
Well,
you're the only. Well, in recent times, you were the only former deputy mayor.
Yeah. Well, the mayor also served as deputy mayor for, I think, about 2 or 3 years. But more to your point, I have had, because I served as deputy mayor, and one of the roles in acting in the mayor's absence and discharging the functions of mayor is chairing statutory meetings. We've had to meet with several delegations and several issues, give leadership to several issues in the absence of the mayor, meeting with the private sector and so forth. I've had to make sure that I had a good understanding of how the law works, and specific to City Hall is the Municipal and District Councils Act, Chapter 2801. And I've had a good privilege also of studying law, so that has been very helpful in understanding how the law works. And so all that we do at City Hall must come back to what the law says should be done in terms of managing the city.
Okay. And just to belabor my question a little more, is how do you see that access? How do you see your role as providing guidance now to the council with the access that you have had both as deputy mayor and serving as mayor in the absence of?
Well, I've tried as much as possible to give guidance on various issues that come to the council level, or even matters that are circumvented from the council. You see things happening, you hear issues in the media, and you try to give guidance to council. Sometimes the guidance is heeded, sometimes it isn't. More times than not, it isn't heeded. And I think that is what has brought us to this point with a no confidence motion when you see things are going a certain way.
We'll get to that. Now, you were touching on it, and let's go and deal with it head on now. What is the role of the mayor? In brief.
Again, the role of the mayor is to be more of a shepherd to the councillors, to be that point person in orchestrating a vision for the for City Hall, for Georgetown as a whole, for laying out that vision, for dealing with administrative matters at the council level, because the council, the City Hall is managed through the council. Right, and the mayor is the head of the council, is the elected head of the council. So the affairs of City Hall and the affairs of Georgetown should be managed through the council. So the council sets the vision, the council sets the policies that will manage City Hall and that will manage Georgetown, and that vision and those policies are executed by the chief administrative officer.
Okay, so let's talk about the chief administrative officer now. What is the role of the town clerk?
Again, the town clerk has the role of being the head for City Hall, of being the administrative head, who all the staff for City Hall report to. The councillors are not staff. The councillors are not hired. The councillors are elected. So the town clerk has that shepherd role for the staff at City Hall, for executing the vision and the mandate, the policies of the council. Also, the law says that where the town clerk is legally qualified to do so, the town clerk can give general legal advice to the council, but that is limited to where he is legally qualified to do so. The law also states that where he is legally qualified or not, he can give direction to the local government officials who are employed by the council, again, referring to staff. The law also says that the town clerk can sue and be sued in the name of the mayor and city council. It also says that yes, the town clerk can be sued or be sued in the name of the town council, among other functions that can be given to the town clerk by the council.
Okay, good. So when you talk about the legal parameters to do so, as stated by the law, does the current town clerk possess that?
No, because the current town clerk isn't trained in law. If I remember correctly, his training is in the area of communication.
Okay, so in the pecking order, are the councillors answerable to the town clerk?
No, the councillors aren't answerable to the town clerk. Remember, the councillors were elected by a constituency. Every constituency, and Georgetown has 15, elects 2 councillors. And it is those councillors who make up the council. That's how you have 30 councillors. 50 by 2 is 30. So you're answerable really and truly to your constituents.
Right. I was asking that because I want to ask the converse now. Is the town clerk answerable to the council?
The town clerk is answerable to the council because the town clerk is a servant of the council. The town clerk's specific role is to be the bottleneck between the administration and the council. The town clerk's role is to execute the mandate, again, the vision, the directives of the council.
Does the town clerk should the town clerk have roles of their own independent of the mandate that come from the council?
No. The town clerk's role is specified by law 1 and can be specified by the council. So the council can give the town clerk roles and duties and functions that are not specified in 2801. Good, but again, it either comes from 2801 proper or it comes from the council. And so the town clerk cannot operate independent of the two things. Cannot operate independent of the law and cannot operate independent of the council.
Okay. All right. What is wrong with what the current town clerk, Mr. Royston King, is doing according to Sherod?
All right. Where do I start? let's go back to 2016 when we first took office, when our tenure started. We had the issues of the removal of vendors from Stabrook Market, and this is a lot of vendors now, 1 and 2, and also from Rob Street. Now that the issues of vending and markets and so forth comes on a committee, the Markets and Public Health Committee. When you are an elected councillor and you represent the people at City Hall, then the issues concerning the people must come before the councillors for a decision. Remember, the council sets the policies and the directives. When you wake up one day and you read that stalls are being broken down and people are being moved off the pavement and all of that, while it might be all well and good for order in the city, the council has a certain function, and so you cannot operate outside of the function of the council. And so what should have been done, that matter should have been brought to the committee or to the council, because the committee's function to make recommendations to the council. When the council accepts the recommendation of the various committees in council, those decisions of council are now become policy. They become policy. So that is how City Hall operates. You have several committees that examine various issues in the city, and then they offer recommendations to the council. When the council accepts those recommendations, they become decisions of council, and they become the policy of City Hall. And so
to be implemented
by the town clerk.
Okay.
Good. And so those issues never came before council. As a matter of fact, when the vendors were removed from Stabrook Market, I think it was the then Minister of Social Cohesion, who was Minister Walter Lawrence, said that council ought to be more sensitive to the plight of the vendors, intervening in the issue. Good. When the vendors were moved from Rob Street without the authority of the council, the president himself said that the move was reckless. This is the president, not of a credit union or one of the labor unions. This is the president of the Cooperative Republic of Ghana, the executive president, who I support, said that move was reckless.
Okay, so you were there seeking to answer the question as to if you think that the current town clerk has done or is doing some wrong things.
And that's only two of the issues. Let's come back. Let's look at even the issue of the parking meter.
Okay.
Again, that is a substantive contract. The law says that any contract for more than, or any spending for more than $250,000 must come through the finance committee. That's what the law says. The law says that under $250,000 can be spent, but it must be an emergency. That's what the law says. But any other contract must go out for tendering and procurement, must fall under that bracket. Now, when councillors heard that City Hall had entered into a contract for parking meters, is when the contract was already signed. So we didn't have a chance to look at the terms of the contract, whether those terms were good for the citizens of Georgetown or not. And it's because of that, because we didn't have a chance before the contract was signed, is why to this date we're still renegotiating the parking meter contract. Because when the government, now when Sherod Duncan or the councillors, when the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Legal Affairs looked at that contract, the government through those agencies said the terms were burdensome. They were onerous. As a matter of fact, the president said the terms were burdensome. The ministry said that the terms were onerous. They were exploitative. And he said that in some instances where it concerned taxation under the contract, the persons who would have done those clauses were ignorant to how taxation is done. And this is the government saying that.
Okay.
Again, the contract never came before the council.
I see, for scrutiny.
For scrutiny.
Okay, beautiful. Understand that. So it begs the question then.
And again, I just want to stick in there. Remember, the town clerk is the person who negotiates. That is one of his functions.
But the mayor was also involved in that. The mayor went with the town clerk to Mexico and so on.
At the end of the day, the town clerk is the one with the authority to enter into contracts on behalf of the council.
But inasmuch, and that this is an aside, inasmuch as the mayor seems to have acquiesced to the desires of the town clerk, why aren't the councillors holding the mayor's feet to the fire?
Well, the councillors have every right to do that, and I have done so on several occasions. But I am placing those issues that the town clerk has direct control over at the town clerk's feet. And the town clerk is a person who enters into contract on behalf of the council. At least every councillor and mayor and deputy mayor entering into contracts on their own behalf for the city. The town clerk is a point person who enters into contracts on behalf. And so the final say in signing that contract fell to the town clerk. And the fact that the contract never came before the council for scrutiny is an egregious matter.
And I understand, and I'm saying that an addendum to your point is, shouldn't the mayor have asked the town clerk to do that rather than appearing to be in cahoots with the town clerk?
Well, the mayor should have exercised better judgment, but the boat is already over the falls, and 2 years later we're still renegotiating the terms.
All right. Now, it begs, as you speak of this broad ambit that the town clerk seems to be employing, who gives the town clerk the power to do what he is doing?
The town clerk is circumventing the authority of the council. That is what the town clerk is doing. And the town clerk is abusing what we call broadly the emergency clause, which we spoke of earlier, that if you have an emergency, then a certain amount of money can be spent. Good? But every contract for City Hall cannot be an emergency contract. Take, for instance, the burial ground in Joshua and the works there. Well, the cleaning of that burial ground should be an annual activity and not an emergency. Now, you are spending over $125 million. That's what City Hall says that they're paying the contractor for the cleaning works there. That never came before the Finance Committee. That never came, and even if it did, remember, the committees only make recommendations. The committee cannot make decisions. That matter never came before the council for scrutiny. Again, there was no tendering for the contract. So the town clerk is circumventing the council and usurping the authority of the council.
Okay, good. Now, you said just now that when the vendors were moved from Stabrook Market, when they were moved from Rob Street, you talk of the parking meter. And at every instance, you showed that the country's administration vis-a-vis the cabinet or the ministers, you spoke of all the Lawrence, you spoke of, by implication, Basil Williams, Legal Affairs, you spoke of none less than the president himself, all having problems with those actions. Who is the town clerk answerable to, and why are the people or the person to whom he's answerable not reining him in?
Well, I will say this, that in the absence of the local government commission, the town clerk was answerable to the Minister of Local Government, or as we say now, the Minister of Communities, the Honorable Ronald Bulkan. Now that you have the commission in place, the town clerk is answerable to the commission. So even when the no confidence motion is passed, and I have every confidence that it will, that motion still has to be forwarded to the local government commission, and the town clerk still has to be afforded a hearing at that forum. And so the authority that no longer lies with the minister, but it lies with the town clerk, with the local government commission, and with everything else. There's a procedure to be followed, and this is just part of the procedure. That if councillors think that the town clerk has gone rogue, then there is the no confidence motion, which might be one of the things, one of the tools available to councillors to kind of rein in the town clerk.
So I'm going to talk a little about the town clerk, about the no confidence motion, Justin. Let me just go back to this. I'm talking here to people who don't know all those technicalities. And the general public knows that the councillors have always had, or for the most part, have had a problem with how the town clerk has been behaving. Long before this council, the council that you say is set up now, has been impaneled. Why did the people who had jurisdiction over the town clerk, given the many problems that they themselves would have cited, why wasn't he reined in before?
Well, I think that the town clerk was given several warnings. Like any person who is employed in any company, unless the matter is so egregious in the first instance, you're giving a warning, a second warning, and so forth. I think that has been happening. I think the Minister of Communities himself has written to the town clerk written to the mayor several times, that issues really pertaining to the town clerk. The mayor, again, is a political head of the council. And just recently, on the issue with the Bel Air playground, the minister had caused to write to the mayor saying that, this action that is being taken by the town clerk does not enjoy the favor of the cabinet, does not enjoy the favor of the government. We do not convert green spaces for private residential, dwelling and that kind of thing.
All right. I guess that I'm not. I don't think that the viewers are fully understanding that answer. In as much as if Mr. Balkan is the one who is directly responsible.
Well, who was directly responsible?
Right, was.
The local government commission now is the body.
When was that body put together?
It was constituted, I think, somewhere between October to December of last year.
Okay.
It was fully constituted.
Who makes up that?
Representatives from the opposition, representatives from the government. I think you have some independent-minded folks as well.
Is that an autonomous body?
It's an autonomous body.
And that had been gazetted and everything already?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. Let's talk now as we conclude about the no confidence motion. Who conceptualized that motion?
I conceptualized it, and I had some input from the current Deputy Mayor Lionel Jaikaran, who was instrumental in co-signing it, and we submitted it on Monday to the town clerk's office.
Did you guys vet it for legal parameters?
Yes.
It has been vetted?
Yeah.
And was that vetting paid for, or that was just pro bono work?
Pro bono. We had some legal guidance because, like with all things, you want to make sure that even in reining in the town clerk for his illegal actions, that you yourself is within the ambits of the law. So we had some legal guidance.
Okay. You said there are 30 councillors. Mm-hmm. What are the possibilities of that no confidence motion passing?
Every possibility, because the issues that are raised in the no confidence motion, and some I've alluded to here, are not new. What the no confidence motion seeks to do is catalog all of our grievances that we've had with the town clerk. Every instance where the town clerk, or at least the major ones, where the town clerk has tried to circumvented the authority of the council, where the town clerk has operated outside of his remit as town clerk. We have sought to chronicle that, to catalog that in a coherent manner and put it forward as a formal document before the council for its consideration. And hopefully on the 12th of March, councillors get a chance to speak to the issues contained in the no confidence motion.
That's the next statutory meeting.
That's the next statutory meeting, correct.
Does the current mayor, Patricia J.S. Green, find favor with that motion?
Well, the mayor will have an opportunity on the 12th
to
say exactly that.
Had there been any straw poll test? I mean, has any discussion been going on with the mayor?
No, I haven't spoken with the mayor. I have spoken with some councillors individually. There have been, over the last 2 years, there have been a lot of pushback on a lot of the issues concerning the town clerk directly by the mayor. And I appreciate why, because the town clerk and the mayor have been comrades in arms at the city level for over 15 years. I would rather suspect they are friends, and so when you see people coming against your friend, I think the instinct is to be defensive.
Doesn't the mayor take an oath that says with no favor, no how that oath goes?
I'm happy you said that, because I take that oath of office. Every council takes that oath very seriously.
Doesn't the mayor take that
the mayor
oath?
Takes the oath without fear
so
or
how
favor,
do you justify
affection or ill will.
How do you justify showing favor then?
Well, as I said, I think it's a natural instinct after sharing a working relationship with someone for so long, that the instinct is to defend them. I appreciate that. Okay. But I think we have to remember who we are and why we are at the city council level. And that is, as the president himself said, is to represent the interests of the people. And sometimes we have to tell our friends that they are wrong.
Okay. Mr. King is a comrade of yours. I would want to think comrade by way of him supporting the same political party that you do.
No, as a matter of fact, I don't know which political party the mayor supports. Sometime last year, the town clerk, I don't know which political party the town clerk supports. I think last year I saw him running for an office through the People's National Congress, but I can't say he's a party member. I don't have that kind of information.
Well, I was setting that question up to suggest that you might not have anything personal against the town clerk, but just his administrative approach.
Yeah, I don't know much about the town clerk personally to have anything against him personally.
Good. And so I was going to then ask, what can Mr. King do at this juncture to cause the proposers of this no confidence motion to withdraw the motion? Is there anything? Can you guys meet over a cup of coffee and talk about where you are, what has been done, and is there anything that Mr. King can do before the 12th of March to have that motion not go forward?
I think Mr. King is doing several things, hoping to soften the minds of people in Georgetown. I'm seeing some projects being hurriedly done, which is the usual. When you get a sense that the public is against you, you try to do a couple of things to kind of dissipate the momentum. But I think we have given the town clerk a very long time to change course. As I said, the council has tried to give guidance several times. The minister himself and government on the whole has tried to give the town clerk, quite a lot of opportunities to change course. And this government, my government, was elected for a different dispensation. And I believe if it was wrong under the previous town clerk, Carol Sober, it is wrong now. And we cannot consult with wrongdoing. We cannot negotiate with wrongdoing. Wrong is wrong, and illegal is illegal. And I have no mandate from the people to consult on those issues. I am an elected councillor. I have no mandate from the people to negotiate on wrongdoing. Wrong is wrong.
Okay, so I'm taking that to mean that there's nothing he can do to cause that motion to not move forward.
Not in my mind, no.
Okay, good. And finally, does the no confidence motion find favor with any of the administrators of the country at the executive level?
I think it does. While I cannot be definitive, because all of the matters are not new matters. All of the matters, as I said, what the no confidence motion against the town clerk was in King 62 is catalog all of the infractions, all of the missteps, all of the mistakes, all of the circumventing of council and the authority of council, and those issues, catalog them in a coherent way, and lays it before the council in a formal document. And so I think when the administrators of our country look at it, they have to decide. Local government is November of this very year. Can we go back to the people and say, vote for us with these kind of egregious actions and infractions against the very people? Had that parameter system been implemented, it would have caused tremendous hardship to the public. Had the ministry not stepped in and the president not stepped in the issues with the vendors, that would have caused tremendous hardship.
Okay.
Right. So I believe that the issues resonate with councillors, resonate with administrators in our country, and I believe that it will gain support. I believe as councillors remember their oath and remember why they were elected to City Hall, that the issues raised in the motion will resonate with them, and I believe they will vote for this motion.
Is there any clause in the motion that suggests either and to Dodelia directly that any of the actions of the town clerk has benefited him personally and financially?
No, because while we have a sense that some may have, the evidence is not strong yet, and so I tend not to talk about things that I cannot prove, and so everything that I've laid out in the motion, the no confidence motion against Town Clerk Royston King, are issues that have a basis in fact.
Okay.
All of them are issues that have a basis in fact.
It cannot be challenged.
Cannot be challenged.
Sherod, thank you for your time.
Thank you, my brother.